Okay, folks, this is Professor Toledo here. This is your MAT 222 course. A couple things just to get started. One thing that I always find that so many students just forget to read is this welcome announcements here. In this welcome announcements is all sorts of good information. And a lot of times students will actually tend to not read this and ask questions and when everything's already posted there for you guys. But once again, don't hesitate to ask questions. I'm here for you guys. But at the same time, I want you to know a lot of stuff is already available for you. Well, here, first off, you have a welcome message, and then number 2 here, you have the most common way students lose points. You want to make sure you keen in on that. Just focus on that because a lot of students will completely miss so many easy things that end up losing them points. Then you have some due dates for the ALEX labs, the ALEX assignments. You have some more important messages about the diagnostic exam. There's also a new Writing Center tutoring service. And then the clarification on textbooks, everything's actually e-textbooks now. And then you have some resources for, video links to how to access your textbook, which I want to show you again here. And also a link for like a YouTube channel that some of the full-time professors have made, which will help you through with some of the assignments throughout the course. But for the first week. So let's take a look at the first week. First week here. To access the weeks, you're over here in this left navigation. Under week 1, you'll see the instructor guidance, which is filled with a bunch of different notes and resources for you guys. First thing you want to do is post your introduction. Now here, a lot of students will forget. There is a review for this for introduction. It's some factor review problems. It's based on the 3rd letter of your last name. So make sure you go through and you choose the correct problems to work on. They're review problems. And I have posted for everybody a factor and review resource here. So it's a factor and resource. If you forget how to factor in using factor by grouping, difference of perfect squares, perfect square trinomials. There's all sorts of resources here in the factor and resource. And there's also a lot of resources in your textbook as well. So the first assignment is post your introduction. The next is you have the first discussion. So in the first discussion, in here, what you have is something called a rational expression. Now, a rational expression, all that means is basically you have some type of fraction that involves variables. Now, typically a rational expression actually usually has a variable in the denominator. Now, some of these here, like this x squared minus 25 over 2, it's still a quasi-rational function, but it's a little bit easier. But make sure that you take a look at the directions, follow each bullet point, make sure you complete every part. Some students just overlook certain key things like making sure they include the vocab words. And just listing them out or just having 1 or 2 word sentences doesn't really show an understanding of the vocab words. So make sure you use them in the context that they're intended to use for. Now, over here again, I have some great resources. Find the domain of a function. I have 2 different videos here. And so as you go to post your work, I do have to make one note. When you go to respond, and I also have a note in there in my little message too. As you go to respond, right over here, you have this x squared button. That's a math equation editor. It works very similar to the one that's in Word. So if you click on that, you gotta make sure you have your pop-up blocker turned off. You create a new equation. And here, you have all sorts of symbols. And these here are just placeholders. Now later on in the course, you're going to be using this one, which is different roots. That little box right there, you can put like 3rd root. 2nd root is the same thing as square root, 4th root. All sorts of things in here. You have fractions that look like this. Oh, let's erase that. Fractions in that style. You have fractions in that style. Exponents, you have parentheses, matrices, all sorts of different symbols. And at the top, you have different tabs, which will get you to different things as well. So this is a really nice equation editor. You make sure you type the equation title here. You hit save and insert, and it inserts an equation in. So this is a great tool to display your work right in the forums, which makes your work very easily accessible, very easy for other students to access and respond to. And also, it does make it easier for me to grade as well. So that's the equation that are in the discussions. So far we went over, you had the instructor guidance, poster introduction, discussion, and then the next thing I see listed here is an assignment. Now the assignment is a short paper. You want to make sure that you follow along the directions carefully. And just like posted in the welcome announcements, students lose points so easily by not following the directions. So make sure you go through and you follow the directions. Make sure you treat this like an English paper in terms of the introduction and explanations. You want to make sure you show your math steps, all your math steps, and explain the math steps. And make sure that you use APA style formatting. It's all part of the rubric. I'm actually asked to grade strictly by the grading rubric. And you can see the grading rubric right here. There's all sorts of links. Oh, here we go. Here's the grading rubric. So you know exactly what's expected of you. And so you'll know what is distinguished, proficient, basic. So you know what's there and how I have to grade you guys. Okay, so now next I see ALEKS Labs. And so you can access the ALEKS Labs just by clicking on there. Now this is going to be my instructor page that pops up, but this will be the student view that you get. There's my instructor view, but here's your student view. And here, this is where you can access the ebook. Ebook is right there. And so as you access the ebook, now make sure again, pop-up blocker is turned off, and here's your ebook. Now in the ebook, for each chapter, you also do have media. So there are also videos in the textbook available for you too. And the readings will be here, and this is where you can access the problems. And to jump quickly, you can actually go up over here and type the page number. So let's look back right over here. If you click on the assignment tab, you have some page numbers, the very distinct page numbers, 437, 444. So at the top over here, we can type in the page number you want to get to, and it jumps right to it. And so 437, you're going to work on number 56. And so there's number 56. You make sure you work on that problem as part of the assignment. Then jump to page 444. And that's number 10. So if we scroll down over here, we look for number 10. And there's number 10. So those are two problems that are going to be for the written assignment. Kind of like in the English paper, make sure you have a good introduction, good conclusion. Make sure you follow the rubric. And if you follow that rubric, the assignments can be pretty easy. And then, so last, we also have the ALEKS Lab and ALEKS Homeworks. Well, to access the ALEKS system, first off, you'll see this, welcome to the student view. Now, this is my student view, so click next. All right, so it takes you through a little tutorial. Now, you can skip the tutorial, but you might enter stuff wrong. So you might want to make sure you go through this. Unless you took MAT 221 and you know this already, make sure you go through and you practice making sure you can enter everything in correctly. So enter everything into the system correctly, I should say. So use the keypad, so 14, and then, okay, so clear, undo, okay, and now click next. So here it says click on the fraction button, click on the fraction button, then over here, and put the number 2, click on down here for the bottom part of the fraction, 3, and there you go. Then click next. Now, you don't have to do this tutorial. You can hit this button down here. It'll skip it. And then it'll go to the graphing. You make sure you do that. Go through all that. Make sure you know how to do this because a lot of students run into trouble and get things wrong if they don't know how to graph things correctly with this system. So then after that, it'll ask you to, ALEKS will now ask you to take a 25 problem pre-assessment. Now this initial assessment will actually help determine where you are in the class. Now the better you do, the potential, now listen for everyone, the potential is you might end up having some less problems to do during the week in terms of your, in terms of how much ALEKS Labs you have to do. Let's say you're just brand new to you, not sure what to do, you didn't do too well, so it'll probably have you start out like saying right now you just haven't taken math, so little to no knowledge. And so over here you have your pi. And so say you have to complete the review. So let's click on here. Now you have your topics here, so click on a topic, and it'll give you some questions. So as you go through the questions, you want to make sure you solve them. There's an explanation button here, so if you need an explanation, it'll give you some notes, and then you can click back to the practice. So you want to make sure you solve these, show all the work here, and sure you continuously go back to your Pi, and make sure you do the review first. After you complete the review, make sure you do week 1 for the ALEKS labs, and then you should be all set for the first week. A lot of students will skip this review. If you don't do this review, you will not be able to access all of week 1. Make sure you check that out. You have to complete all of review in order to be able to access all the questions for week 1. Now, if you do not complete all the review for all the review problems, you might think you're done because you won't be able to access anything. I get many emails from students saying, can't access those questions, I can't access the rest of it. The problem is you have to go back and complete the review. So make sure the review is complete, then complete week 1. Now, if you don't complete the 2 of those, you will not be able to access all of week 2. And then you won't be able to get full credit for that. So you have to make sure you complete each one. As you complete each one, you'll be able to access everything in the next week. So like week 3, week 4, week 5. All right, so going back to the course, the last thing you have is an ALEKS homework assignment. So it's kind of like a homework quiz. You do get 2 chances, so make sure you take advantage of that. So you do get 2 chances. So the homework quiz, and so when you go into the ALEKS system, this here, the assignments should be highlighted. Now, right now it's not because the course hasn't started yet, but there will be assignments here, and they're kind of like ALEKS homework quizzes, like I said. And so you have 2 chances. So again, one more time, make sure you know that ALEKS homework, that's going to be under the assignment tab, and you'll be able to access those when they come available. And so one more time, we just in the first week here, you got post your intro, you got a discussion, assignment, ALEKS labs, and ALEKS homeworks. And please make sure that you take note of to read through the open announcements here. A lot of times students just avoid it. They think it's just, oh, it's just there. It's not personalized, not for me. It's for everyone, and I really hope everyone reads through it. There's lots of good information there. And again, this is Professor Tolino, and welcome to MAT 222.